Welcome to this particular course where I'm going to discuss a very important area today, that is changing role of staff in libraries. Now, staffing pattern in libraries need staff for running their operations and service and meeting their missions. The staff recruited for the purposes positions at different levels of library management. It is grouped into three classes like professional, paraprofessional, and non-professional positions. The professionals are those library employees who have acquired the skills and training in librarianship and possess at least first degree of its equivalent in library and information studies and are employed on the career cadre of librarianship in the library system. The paraprofessionals are qualified library staff holding the diploma and the certificate in librarianship. So they assist the librarians in the technical and service functions of the library. And the non-professional employees comprise the library attendants who attend to all patrons and willingly to give assistance when needed. Their duties include cleaning and shelving books, routine reading of the shelves, and such other duties that may be assigned by the librarian. The non-professionals groups also includes a wide range of staff like administrative, clerical, and office staff for administrative services. Now, please remember, the roles of the professionals, paraprofessionals, and non-professionals, it is not sacrosanct. It's not sacrosanct. So basically, it is all has been, taken care of with a great, details and all. And depending upon the size of the library professionals, basically, the roles and the responsibilities of the library professionals can change dramatically. In fact, there are several instances in my library also where a non-professional or a paraprofessional has obtained the higher degree and changed his position from a non-professional to paraprofessional, from paraprofessional to professional. So there is not much such kind of, demarcations are there. So we need to understand on that also. Library staff composition. Grouping library staff into three classes has been staffing patterns of the libraries for the last several decades. This pattern is still in the mode despite the fact that over the years, libraries have since undergone a series of transformations in this information environment, in the library tools and technologies and the dynamics of the user behavior. Because, that's what I was mentioning, that slowly there is a dramatic change that is taking place. So because of this dramatic change, even the roles and responsibilities and the different kinds of, the activities or the operations which is taking place, that is also changing constantly. In the composition of total library staff, the paraprofessionals account for bulk of the staff and they constitute a vital force in the running of library operations and services. The division of labor between the two groups, professionals and professionals, is very clear. While professionals do the more complex and intellectual rigorous jobs, entailing sophisticated judgment calls, supervision and complex operations, on the other hand, paraprofessionals perform those tasks that are considered routine in nature. Clerical work typically refers to a variety of office and administrative support duties. In the recent decades, the libraries have been significantly blurring off the line between the two groups, and now the overlap is such that sometimes it is frequently difficult to identify a staff member as professional or paraprofessional because of availability of more qualified staff for junior positions also. Now, roles of the library professionals. Role has multiple meanings. It is used to define the exact position a person holds in a library, say university librarian or a deputy librarian or an assistant librarian. Role also refers to what a person does to meet a set of expectations attached to a job or a position. A job usually includes several roles. For example, a manager in business organization is expected to play several roles, including leadership, understanding, problem solving, advice, and encouragement. So it's a very, very at a senior level, a library manager takes in care of every details of that. Likewise, a librarian managing a library to expect several roles like including, collection development, information guide preparations, information provider, information analyst, or technology application leader and all. So he has many facets. So role is thus a description of what a person does in a job or expectation attached to a job or position. So a job position or a job title is just a convenient name for a role. So in fact, in several organizations like in Teddy also, what we generally do whenever we do a recruitment, we go for a recruitment process of any of our library professionals. The first and the foremost thing is that we developed a JD. JD means job descriptions. Because based on the job descriptions, it is very easy to understand the what are the roles and responsibilities or activities or operations would be followed by XYZ person who is newly recruited into the system. So that's a very important thing. It's a very HR related issues are there on this. Responsibilities of the library professionals. Roles of outline what functions are essential to meet expectations from a job. Responsibilities implied accountability for the task completed in a job. Responsibilities also detailed tasks to be completed, results to be achieved in a job for which he or she can held accountable. Because you in the job description itself, you have defined the verticals that this particular person is going to take care of this kind of work. So one, the accountability lies with that person. So if anything goes wrong, or even see both in the case as far as the HR is concerned, a person who is recruited for a certain amount of assignment, he could get a brickbats or bouquets both. So the accountability of that particular person is very important to understand. So a person, a single person, is accountable for a certain responsibility. So if he is doing any mistakes, so he should get a lesson that how he can improvise on that. And if he has done something incredible work, then I think he should get an accountable, and based on his accountability, he should get credits for that. Responsibilities can usually be quantified, such as attending to an average number of clients on reference days over a specific period of time, or providing full text of each articles on demand in a week. Responsibilities are a summary of related job duties, obligations in a job or a position. We need to understand these three things: tasks, duties, and job. Now, responsibilities is about accountability for actions or inactions in a job. Duties are an employee's obligations to perform tasks in a job. And the duties constitute a major component of the job. A task is the simplest and most basic element in the job. It is unit of work or a set of actions needed to produce some result. A task is rarely the whole duty. Rather, it is a part of the duty area. For example, writing a memo, sorting the mail, etc. Complex positions in the organization may include a large number of tasks, which are sometimes referred to as job functions. The changing library landscape. Now, please remember why we are emphasizing on this particular area. Slowly you will understand, I'm sure by now you have got a clear picture also, that there is a paradigm shift has taken place in the entire ecosystem of a library now. So when I'm talking about a library ecosystem, it means that each individual who is there in that ecosystem, who is responsible, accountable for in that ecosystem or in that landscape, is very important to understand. So the library technology is changing rapidly. For managing their mandated missions and services, libraries are showing growing dependence on internet and networks, library management system, and many kinds of other technologies. The emerging digital publication trends, new forms of scholarship and publication, and virtual forms of publication in various formats have shifted the focus in librarianship from library-centric service to information-centric service. See, library-centric services are much more broader, whereas information-centric is at a it's a micro level. So you need to understand which one is the macro and which is the micro level. Technology has since become mission critical to the libraries to manage complex collection of print, digital, and electronic materials. To deal with both owned and licensed content, to better integrate with the enterprise infrastructure of the broader institutions through web services and application of program interfaces and to present modern user interfaces also. Factors impacting the library staff roles. The emerging information environment, which has had a major impact in the ways professional and library managers basically are looking into. So it is very, very important. I mean, librarians manage the library systems, the resource patrons and the services is redefining their roles. So professional librarians have begun to emerge as a technology application leader, leading the chain from a physical access to e-access to information resources. So you need to understand these, the terminologies which I'm using. Like professional librarians have become to emerge as technology application leaders, leading the chain from a physical access to e-access to information resources. So you need to understand these things. With the exponential growth in the body of digital information, librarians have begun to do the role of an educator, a guide, and also as an instructor. So he has a multifaceted role. Please remember, he's an educator, he's a guide, he's an instructor. He's not a typical, in the current scenario, he's not a typical librarian that he will be doing only an issue and return. No, he has to do many more jobs in the coming years. So offering in, like for example, offering instructions and assistance to users on how to use internet and search engines to search e-journals, online databases and catalogs, etc. So he has to do little proactive role. They now offer information literacy and computer literacy for training the users. Librarians nowadays design library aids such as websites, online tutorials to improve the access. They evaluate information resources that they select and link to the websites, and in some cases, even manage organizational websites. As innovators, they take up tasks to build bibliography and citation databases. Institutional repositories, discovery layers, and create new user interfaces as needed for faster online searching. They nowadays negotiate with the publisher, so they have to be a very big negotiator as publisher managers for subscription to e-journals or on consortia rates, and settle the terms for online access for current e-journals and perpetual access for discontinued journal resources. More than that, librarians play their role as image maker to a project, a better image of the library to the outside world, and to gain management support for far more funds. Many librarians have become information analysts, educating top management on institutional performance in vis-a-vis others. Well, here I would like to, give some of the examples of the Cherry Library Information Center. We have quite approximately, 21 library professionals in the library, and all of them have got a master's degree or diploma or at least a bachelor's degree they have completed and all. So, and some of them are paraprofessionals, some of them are non-professionals, but most of them are professionals actually. Now, all the professionals who are there, they have to do a lot of work. Now, not only they have to look after the traditional library system, but they have to go into some of the activities which I have mentioned here. They need to get into all those things. In fact, many of my staff, they are responsible for giving a shape to some of the important projects which we do. And they play a very integral part in those projects. And those projects are not very, they are mostly research oriented projects. So a library staff in current context, in the current this changing library landscape, they have to play a very, very big role into that. So we need to understand all these things. The critical factors that seem to have been instrumenting in bringing changes in the role of librarians and information professionals are several. Like for example, information explosion, emerging digital information environment, searching the problems in traditional libraries, emerging low-cost information technologies, changing social needs, changing customer behavior, emerging technology needs, changing the public image of the library and librarians, and new generation needs like need to improve the access and create the literate environment. So these are some of the very, very important critical factors we have identified, which is extremely aligned, important in the current context of the library ecosystem. And all these information professionals, they have to get into such kind of activities, and they have to play a multifaceted role in today's context. The roles of the library professionals, as the roles of the librarians change, their responsibilities also change, because roles determine and redefine the job responsibilities. For example, the job responsibility of librarians in the management of collection development have changed ever since the libraries witnessed shift in library acquisition from ownership to access and control. Instead of purchasing resources on ownership basis, librarians lay more emphasis now on licenses for remote access to e-resources. So in that case, so the entire there is a shift in the roles of the librarians have taken place. So currently, the library professionals, he has to deal with large number of consortia. He has to deal with large number of online vendors to look into the nitty-gritties of the different kinds of online resources which are procured, whether it is ebooks or e-journals and all, and how that can be equated also. So they need to get into all those things very deeply. They now coordinate the implementation, process, and ongoing maintenance of the electronic resource collection through the life cycle of each resource. They liaison with the publishers, aggregators to ensure that the electronic resources are as widely accessible as possible, promote the use of these resources, and coordinate the library response to access issues that involve the electronic resources. The managerial roles and responsibilities of the librarian. Libraries are highly structured organizations hierarchy. And in fact, in some of the slides you must have seen in other lectures, that we follow a very nicely designed, structured, we have defined about a library structure, which is and the complete flow, the workflow can easily be found out based on the roles, responsibilities, the levels of each and every person who is responsible for the functioning of the library. All libraries have employees working at different levels of responsibility in the hierarchy. Hierarchy of these employees' position is called as levels of management. The level of management in the hierarchy determines a chain of command, the amount of authority and status the employee enjoys in his position. Library organizations differ in the levels of management in the hierarchy. The number of management levels in any library depends upon the size of its collection, library technology applications, user strength, and the workforce. In a university library system, let me give you an example of a university library system. A university library system supports 3 levels of management. In fact, I would request here that, if you get a time, then you should visit some of the top university libraries we have, like Delhi University, Jamia Millia, Jawaharlal Nehru University, or any private universities. You must visit them also and see the kind of the roles, responsibilities, and the hierarchy is followed in those university library system. Like, for example, you have a top level, that is a university librarian. You have middle level, and then you have the baseline level. Librarians working at these levels play their role both as a library specialist and as a library manager. Top level, at the top level of the university library is the university librarian. He or she serves as the principal manager of the university library. Our role in library is mainly administrative, managerial, and a specialist also. He is responsible for leadership to the library, change management in the library, and delegation and staff empowerment. He or she is source of authority to lead, direct and manage library services of strategic significance to the university academia, students and the university management. He or she devotes more time on planning and library coordinating functions. The responsibilities of the university librarian is to lay down the vision, mission, objectives, and broad policies of the library in consultation with the library committees and top management of the university. Lead the university library to achieve the highest level of excellence in all strategic dimensions of the library activities. Issue necessary instructions for preparation of library budgets, procedures, schedules, etc. Prepare strategic plans and policies on library services projects. Organize library staff into various functions and services. Control and coordinate the activities of all library units, departments, and maintain contacts with the outside library world. Provide advice and guidance and direction to the staff or arrange necessary advice on library programs and activities. Exercise judgment and initiative to anticipate, conceptualize, and resolve sophisticated problems that may have strategic and organizational impact. Contribute substantially to organizational performance or to the body of professional or subject knowledge. Lead and manage the significant organizational services, projects or programs, and provide authoritative expert advice to the management, the organization as a whole, or the external parties. Now we come to the middle level library professionals. At the middle level are deputy librarians who head the branch library services, library teams or library departments. Their roles are both functional and specialist. As specialists, they are directly responsible for the management of the library functions and services such as acquisition, technical processing, print and e-journals, library automation, user services, and others. They are required to perform several different roles of strategic importance within the library functions under their charge. They report to the management for the functioning of their teams. For example, like execute the plans of the organization in accordance with the policies and directives of the top management, make plans for the units, departments under their charge, send important reports and other important data to the top level management, evaluate performance of junior staff, motivate lower level managers towards better performance, secure equipment, materials and services required to support the performance of their roles, exercise judgment and initiative in dealing with a range of complex and detailed operational or conceptual problems and tasks that may extend beyond the immediate work area, undertake initiatives to develop and introduce enhancements to existing practices, systems and procedures, overall staff supervision, projects and initiatives, monitoring of technical standards and practices, and writing and administrative grants. Library professionals at a baseline, they work under general direction of a senior professional, deputy librarian or the university librarian. They perform their role as supervisors. Their responsibilities include provide professional library and information services, assist in the development of library and information services and systems, coordinate with other library teams or library and information management projects, assign and supervise jobs and tasks to the support staff of the team members, guide and instruct support staff in the team for day-to-day activities. They are responsible for the quality as well as quantity of output and service, be responsible for providing training to the workers, arrange necessary materials, resources for getting things done, and prepare periodical performance of support staff, motivate the support staff also. Specialist roles and responsibilities. Library manager can be described by the functions they perform and the roles they play at different levels of management. In the last sections, we discussed the roles that librarians perform as managers at different levels of management. Now we will look at the specialist role that librarians perform in addition to the managerial roles. Roles and responsibility of the professional library staff is like technology application leader, where is identify the library technologies and their implementations, developing websites, digitizing, converting content, technical support, system administration, maintenance, data conversion, data migration, system analysis and testing, open source software development, usability testing, interoperability and digital library technology, metadata, access and retrieval mechanisms like bibliographical records, finding aids, EAD, mark, doubling core records, quality control, databases, subject guides, library aids, library interfaces, discovery layers, and online tutorials. Collection Development Manager, collection, development, and management of materials in all formats and in all models. Collection development of books and ebooks, collection development of periodicals, print and e-print, collection development of databases, licensing terms and agreements for subscribing the online resources, and conducting the user assessment study to find out the need of the users. So you can see the multifaceted role played by a head of the library. As a project manager, write library project proposal for grants. And this is a very, very important and a sensitive area, because here he is going to work for a clients. So he need to understand what the client is looking for. Depending upon the need assessment of the client, the proposal has to be written, and then the grants comes, and accordingly then he has to perform within the stipulated period of time utilizing that grant. Determine the scope and requirements of the projects and coordinate, execute, schedule activities and control resources for projects such as digital library system installations, technical standards and practices, design, development and implementation, digital preservation, digital repository, digital content aspect, etc. So these are some of the multifaceted roles are placed. I became a project manager in my Terry library. So I had to perform all these roles and responsibilities which you are looking at, as I have to generate revenue for my own library department. As an educator, guide, and a service provider. Information literacy, computer literacy, staff training, reference and public service, liaison, professional activities and user studies. Educate faculty members, helping them to understand the usefulness of e-resources and new modes of inquiry. Educate students the process of gathering information from printed materials and electronic resources in a library. Raise awareness that the process of gathering information is as important as the information itself. Information provider. So library also have to act as an information provider. Provide access to relevant information for research, teaching and academic development. Create and develop motivating, flexible, physical and digital learning space. Nowadays, one of the very important components when I'm talking about digital learning space, it is coming up as a big way, which is called as a maker space, where new kinds of simulation models could be developed within the library itself. Collaborate with classroom teachers to plan, implement, and evaluate course materials and content inquiry system. Provide and promote quality fiction to develop and sustain in students the habit of reading for pleasure and to enrich their intellectual, aesthetic, cultural, and emotional growth. Another important component is information analyst. Analyze the citations in the published literature for mapping research and research assistant. Now, here the role of the information analyst, I would like to say that, giving an example of Terry Library, we have quite a good number of information analysts in our library. Well, they not only they do perform this particular job, but they do much more than this. What they do, they develop different interesting subject guides. They understand the subjects, analyze the subjects, and based on collected resources, data from different secondary resources, talking to the people, they develop very specialized subject guides. And these subject guides are extremely valuable documentation for any researcher who is going for a particular project and all. So the very interesting role is being played by information analyst. The changing role of libraries in the digital age, which is a case study. I am giving you an example here. Sony's Reader Library program is designed to help libraries overcome the challenges of adopting ebooks and educating their constituencies on how to borrow, read, and make the most of the digital reading content. Ebooks, like traditional paper books, will play an important role in civic and cultural life, but only if they are made broadly available and people understand how to access and use them. In fact, this Sony's Reader Library programs, they have provided the devices also to them, and with ebooks and e-newspapers and lot of other open access contents, it was provided to them, and they can, read those valuable resources from the digital content itself. Sony's Readers Library program, it includes 4 main components. A training program for the library staff developed by Sony. This training includes in-person workshops, video training, and additional materials on the web, covering digital reading formats and overview of sources for digital materials and training on Sony's digital reading services. Sony's Reader digital reading services for use by library staff, educational materials to provide readers some background on digital reading devices, biannual update sessions designed to keep the libraries and the staff current with the latest developments in reading content, format, and the devices. So there are some important points. Before I conclude, I want to tell everybody the staff in libraries distributed into following 3 classes: professionals, paraprofessionals, and non-professionals. Who are professionals? Librarians and other library specialists who possess at least a bachelor's degree or its equivalent in library and information studies. Paraprofessionals support the staff, including library assistants, library technicians who possess at least diploma, certificate in librarianship. So non-professionals, library attendants who possess at least high school education. This category of library staff also includes clerical and office staff for administrative services. Points to remember: in the contemporary library information landscape, technology has since become mission critical to the libraries to managing complex collections of print, digital, and electronic materials. Accordingly, acquisition librarian has become electronic resource librarian. Besides technology, there are several other factors that have been instrumental in expanding and redefining the role of librarians, professional librarians. So this is a librarians, a kind of a, I would like to say, an infographic I want to show librarians as change makers, where you can say the changing role of the public libraries and what are their information skills and the knowledge which has come up. And without libraries, there would be fewer people buying and enjoying the books. And these kinds of, a small, beautiful was developed by under the governance of IFLA, and it is distributed to all the people to enhance the library marketing also. So this is just librarians as change makers. So that is the, the takeaway for this particular thing. So I'm sure now you got an overview of what is the changing role of the library professionals that is taking place in this dynamic environment. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Thank you.